last week. 13th.
Technically, it's not set in stone.
I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes of February 13th meeting as written.
They'll change it.
I'll second it.
It would eliminate the Budget Committee's approval if we did.
So it would appear
We
in
have
the
a
town
motion
report as not approved.
and a second
If it would
to
change.
approve the minutes
It probably
of
wouldn't say
the
either way.
February 13th meeting. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none? So moved. Okay, the next thing is everybody has in front of them a copy of the warrant articles. Let's see, we start out with that. And what we're going to do is we're going over approve or disapprove, and that's it. And one of the things, if it is a money article, and I think everybody understands this, such as like the highway, it says 65,000. If you think that we should put in 75 or 45, then you would not approve it. And then at the floor at the town meeting, that can be explained. At that point, we'll have the opportunity to explain what we're saying, but now it's just approve or disapprove. And what I'd like to do is get a tally of the votes, not necessarily who is, but a lot of times at the meeting, people say, well, was that a unanimous decision or that?
Are you going through all of these again?
Yes,
Or just the ones that have been changed?
just all of them.
Again?
Yes.
Just simpler that way.
It's, this is the final after the hearing. Okay. Article number 1, we don't have to go through.
Number 4 is the first
To
one.
the first one would be Article number 4, to see if the town vote to raise and appropriate sum of $15,000 to be added to the Tilton Northfield Island Park Reserve Fund that was created in 2012.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve $15,000 to be added to the Tilton Northfield Island Park Capital Reserve Fund.
We have a motion
So
and
seconded.
a second. Any discussion? None? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, so unanimous. So moved. Okay, Article 5, to see if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $35,000 to be added to the Highway Equipment Capital Reserve Fund that was created in 2012.
I make a motion that we approve said article.
We have a motion to approve,
Second.
and we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, Article 6, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate the sum of $65,000 to be added to the town road, streets, and bridges reconstruction and/or repair capital reserve fund that was created in 2005.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we vote to approve the $65,000 to be added to the town road, streets, and bridges reconstruction and/or repair capital reserve fund.
We have a motion to approve and
Seconded.
a second. Any discussion? I myself am just going to make a little comment that I think that we should add more. Just from the numbers that we got before, stating that we will be needing more money than that when it comes up.
So it's your opinion that we should not
It's my
recommend
opinion
this?
that we should not approve this and that we should increase that amount on the floor at the town meeting.
But the selectmen can combine these road projects and vote to bond them. So we would raise and appropriate these monies each year for all of the road projects, depending on how extensive a road project it is. It could be combined with, say, a Class 2 state aid road project and be done at the same time and be part of the bond.
How much is currently in this particular fund?
200 and...
Almost 300,000.
Almost 300,000, you said?
And there is enough money in it currently to do what he is proposing to do in 2013.
Which is? I mean, I know that. I know that we're not.
When you get further out on his 10-year plan, there's a lot of money that has to be paid.
Right, when you're into like, I think 2016,
I think it was 16.
or is it 15? 2012,
2015 is 337.
that's the one, yeah, but
So-
2013 and 14, I think we're pretty well covered.
But
I didn't bring it
if you
over.
keep taking out of that fund, that balance is going to be lower and lower, so it's not necessarily enough to cover. Because if you have 300,000 now, you take out and you add 65,000. I'm just using simple numbers, 65,000. But then we spend, next year we're going to spend 77,000, so we're going to spend more than we're putting in. So we're going to have a lower balance.
Right, but in 2015, well, we'd have to decide in 14, but we could decide to bond those
Now,
road
that's all gonna
projects.
be- Just to help the village idiot over here, does the bond act like a bank account that if we bond $1 million, just throw a number out there, $1 million, and we're only going to use 337, so we have more for the next year, or is that?
Well, we
gonna have to keep bonding projects.
we have a road committee, we just need some more members, and we're going to sit down and we're going to look at the 10-year plan. And we will look to be combining projects that make sense to, as I said, to bond or to raise and appropriate and put in the capital reserve. I mean, there's different avenues. We could subcontract somebody and do a whole ton of repairs. It just depends. It's also, you have to consider sidewalk, and this includes bridges.
Well, I understand Eric's objection is we've already got plans spending more than we're putting in. And this is primarily for planned road projects, not emergency situations that might arise.
That's correct.
So we are actually leaving ourselves, I mean, 300,000 sounds like a lot of money, but that isn't.
If you just take what he has proposed for 2015, 16, and 17, you're talking just over $1 million.
And that should be bonded. That shouldn't be raised and appropriated.
So your contention is that when we sit down and do the 10-year plan, we plan to bond certain
Well, we have a
projects
10-year
as a-
plan, but we need to have a group that sits down, looks at it, and plans it with these types of eyes. What I'm saying is, for right now, we're good.
Unless we have an emergency, which,
Well, emergency would come out of the reserve fund, or we try to find it in the budget. These are for expected projects.
But we're planning for the island. We're planning for lots of other things, so we should probably plan a little more for roads and
You just have to keep in mind, if all of these warrant articles are passed, it's going to raise the tax rate by approximately 40 cents. So if you increase that 65,000 to, say, 100,000, it's approximately 10 cents for every 50,000. Is that right, Tim? That's usually the figure I use.
Each penny is 5,000, just under $5,200.
Sounds about right.
So
So just keep that in mind.
Anybody else
I know.
you have any questions? Anything else? Okay, call vote. So, all those in favor say aye.
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 In favor of approving.
Approving, right.
Okay, say aye.
Aye.
How many do we have? 4, 2, 3, 4. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. So, get 2. So moved. So we approve Article 6. I've got to put my glasses back on here. Okay, Article 6 approved. Okay, Article 7, to see if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $5,000 to be added to the Recreation Facilities Capital Reserve Fund that was created in 2002, majority vote required.
I make a motion that we accept Article 7.
We have a motion to approve
I second it.
and a second. Any discussion? My only, I'm going to say my little blurb here, is that we're adding $5,000 to something that already has $27,000 on it. We don't have any set plans to do with it. Last year, we discussed the same thing, and there was a list of, we're going to be looking into what we plan to do with the money. I still haven't seen that, and I can't see putting another $5,000 into it to say that here's the money, you guys figure out what you're going to do with it, and that's my only comment. Joe, I'm going to keep it limited to the table for tonight so we can move right along. We're just going to, but that's my part. Anybody else?
I was going to kind of say the similar thing, so I just...
And I was as well.
Okay. Okay, so anybody else comment?
Yeah, actually, can I ask, what is the rationale for the selectmen
Well,
recommending that?
the Park Commission has been dealing with maintenance issues for quite a number of years. This year, they'd like to see more programs in Riverfront Park. There are zoo programs. There's two different ones. One takes wild animals, and they train them, and it's kind of a comedy routine, I understand. The other one is to have more exotic type animals. Let's go fishing, the zoos. There's a whole litany of list of things they want to do for Riverfront Park. They want to develop, I don't know what you call it, I'm not a sports person, baseball, softball games. At 132, they want to put up a backstop and,
So am
Make
I
the
correct
field.
that this fund is not primarily for, like, upkeep of parks? It's for
no, it
programs?
can't. The reserve fund is only for recreational. It can't be for maintenance.
Okay.
And they'll present it to town meeting.
And how much is in that fund now, did you say, Catherine?
Recreational is 27, 55, 28. They didn't want to completely deplete the reserve fund.
Are they, do they have plans to deplete it this year, to spend $27,000?
Well, if they, there's also leveling at the ball field that needs to be done.
But I thought that you just said that maintenance and upkeep would...
Well, that's for the skating rink. It's one of the problems with the
Okay,
skating
so
rink.
that is in
So in
fact
order
the
to have
program.
the skating rink, it's not maintenance, because if they didn't have the skating rink, they wouldn't have to do it. But only because they have the skating rink, they've got to level it. Right now, it's 12 inches out of level. But they're working on that.
Anything else? Eric? Okay, call the vote. All those in favor of recommending this appropriation, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. 4,
You rebels, you.
2. I don't know. Okay, to see if the town will vote and raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 to be added to the revaluation capital reserve fund that was created in 2002. If we have a motion?
I move that we recommend the appropriation of $20,000 to be added to the revaluation capital reserve fund.
Second.
So seconded?
Any comments? Go ahead.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay. Article 9, to see if the town will vote and raise the appropriate sum of $1,500 to the Lake Improvement Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund that was created in 2007.
I move that we recommend the appropriation of $1,500 to be added to the Lake Improvement Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund.
I second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Unanimous. I knew this would be fast. Okay, Article 10. To see if the town will vote and adopt the provision RSA 31:95-H for the purpose of setting up a Town of Tilton Recycling Revolving Fund and to raise and appropriate the sum of $45,000 to that fund for the purpose of implementing curbside recycling on a bi-weekly basis and to change the solid waste pickup to a pay-as-you-throw, PAYT, system in accordance with the provisions of RSA 149-M:17, whereas residents have to purchase designated Town of Tilton bags to dispose of their garbage. All receipts from the sales of the designated bags and other receipts which would come from the recycling will accrue to the Tilton Recycling Revolving Fund. All monies in the Tilton Recycling Revolving Fund will be applied towards the total waste management program. The town treasurer will have custody over all monies in the fund and shall pay out the same only by order of the Board of Selectmen.
I move that we approve and recommend Article 10.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I have one question. Last week, the sum of 50,000 was bannered around. Is that what it would take to get it started? Will 45 take care of us for the first half of the year?
That's the price that Joe
Let
gave
Joe.
us.
Okay.
After a little research, it'll take about 43.5 to
Okay.
cover us, because there's too many variables. I think that's
Okay.
even high to really do it. Most of the garbage accrues the tonnage between June and December.
My
Percentage.
My concern is that for the success of the program that we have to take it upon face value that the recycling committee knows what number they're asking for, but they did ask for 87, and I just want to, I'm concerned that they're not going to have enough for any contingencies that might come up. And that's my only fear.
I can address that, but that's a presentation issue, and
Well, I assume-
gets this program off the
I assume, Joe, you're going to do a presentation at town meeting.
Any questions that you, the audience, might have at that time.
And that could be modified on the floor if,
Be amended.
Any warrant article can be amended,
So-
any dollar amount, even in the budget.
on the floor. Okay, anybody else? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved. Article 11, to see if the town will raise and appropriate the sum of $20,000 for the purpose of investigating and creating a snow storage area in accordance with NHDES best management practices.
I move that we recommend to raise and appropriate the budget, the recommended sum of, $20,000 for the purpose of investigating and creating a snow storage area in accordance with the NHDES best management practices.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and discussion?
Maybe it's just I guess it's always been a bone with me. We have a sidewalk policy in this town, and there's a sidewalk on my street that's on the A list, and I've brought this up before, the selectmen before, that they only partially plow part of that sidewalk. They only plow it from Winter Street to Poplar, I think the road is. And then this past week, I've asked why don't they plow the rest of the sidewalk, and there was concern about neighbors or whatever, other snow removal, but, if they run with the snow blower, they can you can guide where the chute comes, and for instance, they came by the other day and they took all the snow, they took it out from in front of your house, they took it from that sidewalk, but if they had a snow blower, they would have just put it in someone's yard, and you eliminate more of the need for having snow storage.
Right, but I know that,
I know for
example-
downtown we need it, but there needs to be, I think there needs to be some better practices, and it's just,
Well, I think that,
Do you want all that salt and
I-
sand on your lawn?
I get it on my lawn anyways,
I think I want
No, I know,
really focus on-
but it's justification for me to see
I
a
think,
snow
Eric,
storage.
one year they did it in the parking lot for Buffalo Park, and it was like a 20-foot tall mountain, and of course, all the salt and chemicals that goes in, road debris. And it is my understanding, am I correct, that this is to study a location no place has been settled on, because the place they had considered is
No.
in fact an aquifer, right?
After the discussion Thursday, I suggested we change the wording, because the fact is we have to find a place, and some of the selectmen don't believe that we could create a place in the industrial park that would be safe.
Right, which is my concern. We don't want to dump all that stuff into our drinking water. Well,
Well, I think it would be irresponsible for us to just dump it there without putting in at least a bladder, or, there's several ways of doing it. You could create a lagoon that would capture the water. Salt is soluble, which is one of the
At a
problems.
large cost.
What I don't see is, are you going to create a committee, or, who is this, Dennis going to be doing this? Who's going to be doing the
We haven't
investigating?
decided that. If it's approved, then we'll probably at our next meeting, when we do all the officers and the beginning of the year stuff, we'll talk about a committee.
My thoughts on this is, I see a number of $20,000. I don't understand what is going to happen and why it costs $20,000. It seems like we're just putting money into a fund and with no...
We don't have any
How to
place
do
to
it.
put snow. We could put it at Buffalo Park, but I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, it's illegal. It's a conservation area, and you can't put that.
Well, we can't put it in the park, but we can put it in the parking lot.
I-
We could put it at the ball field, but that's going to preclude any winter sports there. I mean, we don't have any place because we're selling our snow storage area. So, worst-case scenario, we'll be developing a snow storage area on our vacant lot at 61 Business Park Drive, and that's approximately what it would cost to do that.
I mean, what is the $20,000? Is that what you're talking
It's
about?
based
Putting in a
on-
ladder or putting in a liner, or what?
It's based on, our highest estimate was $35,000. Our lowest was a little over 17, I believe.
12.
Pardon?
That was 12. You showed us an invoice last week, that said that was 12.
Was it 12? I don't remember.
It
It's
was
over
12
there,
last
and
week.
there's been too many figures. But we had a high and a low. And this is a middle estimate based on the lowest estimate. And there is some speculation that we might be able to get some gravel at a very low price, which would save us money, and we'd be able to put a bladder in. If we had to go out and buy another piece of property, this isn't going to make it.
You could rent another piece of property.
We'll be having a special town meeting.
I think in the
Excuse me.
past, we've stored it other places, and I think there are a couple people in town that have volunteered. I think Dave
I would
Lockwood,
not, as a
Garcia.
selectman, want
And-
the liability of storing snow on a private person's property, because I don't think they fully realize. It's like my hayfield. It's been asked of me before to put it there in the years I've been a selectman, and I've said unequivocally, no. It's going to kill my hay, and it's not going to come back.
Well, I, as chair of the planning board, would not want to recommend that we violate an ordinance, a zoning ordinance either, by putting it there. So, I mean, there would end up being a fight. But I don't think that's what we're trying to address right now. Because I think the concern was the Business Park Drive. That has been removed. And
It's not
there's gonna
been
be some-
removed.
Well, it
It's
has
still
been
a-
removed.
Well, from the
here.
Warren article, but you
Well,
need
that's-
to know,
that's what we're discussing
that's
right
still
now.
a possibility.
Well, that's what we're discussing right now. That's when I said that, that's when I think there would be the battle. But that's what we're discussing, I thought, right now, was this warrant article and whether we are going to recommend this sum of $20,000.
Yes, the 20,000.
My
Okay.
concern with the warrant article as written is that it doesn't, I mean, I know we ask of our selectmen to make a lot of these decisions, but it seems to me that this is investigating and creating. Those are two different steps.
Yep.
And I'm concerned that this doesn't have any control on, what we end up with. And I just can't, I'm concerned about that. I'd like to see the investigating happen before the creation, is all. And I
Well,
want
the
to make sure
problem is,
it's in...
it's crunch time. I mean,
Well-
the property, and quite frankly, the property at 60, well, it's not 61
Well, I
Business
mean,
Park
before
Drive.
March
Can I
16th,
interject?
you're not going to come up with a solution anyway, so it's not, I mean, it is time to figure this out.
All we're doing is,
We've had a
we're going to
year.
say, I'm going to interject here, we're going to say whether we approve of the way this is written and the amount, or disapprove of it, and vote on that. It's obviously going to be a big thing on the floor. So, we could sit here and hash this out for hours, but
I can tell you it'd cost you a huge amount of money if we had to truck it out of town to somebody else's snow dump.
No, I get that we have to solve the problem, but I am concerned about the way the warrant article is written, is all.
anybody else? Wayne? Eric? Okay, so, and the motion was to approve, right? Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the $20,000 for Article 11. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I-
Opposed?
Nay.
Aye.
What's our vote?
I think it's 2 to 4.
One?
Yeah.
So it's, does not recommend. Okay. And then Article 12 is all set. And that's it. Anything else? But, you know, all these things, they're going to come up on the floor, and it doesn't mean we're against or anything for them. So it's just, we
What
want
do you
to...
mean, it just does not approve? How can you say it doesn't mean you're
Doesn't
not
mean
against
the
it?
purpose, it could be the wording or something like that.
The purpose is that the-
Update the MS7?
yes.
Before we go on leave?
Okay, I
We will
don't
wait
think we need
patiently.
to discuss anything else, well, we're going to wait a little bit. Any other business? Other business will be that at town meeting, we're going to get there early. We'll need somebody that's good at math to keep track, or good at keeping track of things.
I would have the finance officer do that myself.
I nominate Eric.
I'd like to know, what's early?
Why don't you just have Tim Pearson take care of it instead
Yeah,
of...
why don't we do
Because
that?
we always have,
We are,
there's always 3 or 4 people doing it.
we're required to have somebody from the Budget Committee as well as the selectmen to do it.
Where's
The
that
moderator, I spoke to the moderator, and he said that they ask if the two numbers, if we both came up with the same numbers.
It's just a
And check
matter
and
of adding
balance.
it to the operating budget, whatever the approved operating budget, and then
But
adding
it's
the warrant
just to keep
articles.
track of the warrant articles, where we're at with it, and to do
Oh, we
that,
need
so-
somebody with a
and-
calculator.
Yeah.
To add it up, it's, write it down and add it up at the end.
Well, all I know is that it gets to be such a convoluted, I remember one year when one of our illustrious moderators totally lost track.
Plus,
Nobody knew.
Nobody, yeah.
It was pre-Tim Pearson.
Yeah.
Nobody knew
So if we have
how much money we were raising and appropriating.
They can't
Hey, some.
Remember
that?
Yes,
So if
I
we
do.
amend a line item.
How was Mardi Gras?
Track of that.
Isn't it
What's
fun?
early, though? You have to define early.
I'm so glad to see you
At least
here.
15.
Oh, gives me hope.
Well, this is, alas, the end of the line for me.
Better check.
I went 7 years ago.
It's, well, you know, we were in a parade, and that may have been the biggest adrenaline rush of my entire
The
life.
other
Oh, I
thing
didn't know
is,
you were in the
Yeah, we
parade.
were on the floats riding.
Oh, that is cool.
Had a friend who was king of his crew, and he invited us. Beyond belief. Beyond
box
belief.
of Jill.
The former
Forgot about Jill.
Coffee, I'll usually
we
coffee
had to
too
go for the crew.
Oh, come on.
And then the,
Well, bring a blender in.
no, we didn't have, it was the
Some
best.
ice.
And then, well,
I'll do it.
Back.
or if we're just waiting, I
can-
move to adjourn.
Yeah.
But
Motion
you
to
can't adjourn and sign the MS7.
We can't?
Or no, MS, what is it?
You have to sign.
Yeah, because before we've just come in,
You've got to agree, well, you have to,
just come in later, and
yeah, but if you don't agree,
To approve signing it.
if you don't agree on the figure and you question the figure, how are you going to change it?
Right, there's nothing.
well, in the past, we've just stopped in
yeah,
when it
we
was
stopped
ready
in
and
and
signed it.
Oh, so you haven't questioned the amount?
We'll have a recess.
Oh, no, I mean, we look at it and make sure what we are signing
Okay, so
is.
why don't we just recess until, great idea, Sandy.
Yes.
Can we-
So we're on
Until
recess, can we go
pool
play
and
on
the
the
over-under
swings?
and how long-
Anyway, so,
That will be on crutches. Can we make a pool and how long?
you
will be on
know
crutches?
Antoine's restaurant? It's a fairly famous French Quarter.
Yes.
3 days? Is it arthroscopic?
Ms. Yvonne
Oh,
is
yeah. it'll be-
friends with the, who owns
I was a day and a
Antoine's.
half.
So she invited us to dinner
No,
when we
seriously
got there
though,
on
if you need help
Thursday.
on,
Then on Mardi Gras
Sunday?
night, we had a party on her
Saturday night,
balcony that we
Sunday
went
morning
to.
with snow?
And then she invited us to dinner on Ash Wednesday. And we had dinner, and the thing about that is we got to see all the secret rooms, because what I didn't know, and most people don't know about Antoine's,
Yeah,
is
like a foot.
these are
heavy
the
wet snow.
secret chambers where
So,
these
stock
crews,
up, bread and
who
milk.
take it a lot more seriously than the Mid-City crew that I was a member
Yes,
of,
and no.
I could
they-
live off
hold
this
their
stuff in my
secret
cabinets.
meetings,
Yeah.
and they have all their regalia and stuff. And
Right, start
we're
digging
going
in
through
the
this
back.
stuff, you know, it's after the restaurant's closed,
Association has
and looking at
in
these
with the weather.
incredible stuff in the
Boy, did you hear the weatherman tonight?
Just
He said,
Read everything
And the
online.
hurricane
Right,
didn't
Channel
destroy
9.
anything.
Channel 9, he said,
They
why
actually
did the
blew down
figure this out is I put all the
But they,
projections together.
Well,
Her
this-
son took it
No,
over
actually,
a couple of years
the
ago
actual,
and
the-
refurbished it
this
after that,
early,
and
usually
you would never know
they
it was
use
even
a
damaged.
dozen
So,
different-
yeah, Mardi Gras night, we're on a
And
balcony at
some that they
Antoine's, a
know
block
that
down from Bourbon
some over-
Street,
like if you saw
watching
somebody for
the
example,
Rex
the
crew, which
last
has
one,
their
they were talking like
formal
inches of snow
dinner,
this,
the
but
crew
just
dinner
because
in Antoine's at
Usually the ratio is
Mardi
really
Gras,
dry snow,
and watching them, you know,
normally it was
their gentleman's
ratio
stroll,
is normally 10 to
it's
1,
called.
10
So
inches of
Dave,
snow,
I got to
inches of
see
water.
dressed up all in
And it was supposed to be
tail
dry
and
snow.
top hat and with his
Wow.
walking
No.
stick, and man, he dresses
So-
up nice. It was so much fun. So they have what's called a gentleman's
the track
stroll on
down.
Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's a
And
rain
all
line
the
at
men
Mass Pike.
hit the street with their
Creep up
special
on
beads for the
Mass Pike
gentleman's
would be a
stroll,
rain line.
and
You know what
I mean,
love
they're
about
all
Mother
over
Nature,
the
though?
place.
We make all these
Like,
forecasts and projections.
theirs ran into
She's
one of
gonna
the
do
other
what she wants
crews
to
that was
do.
having their gentleman's stroll at the same time, and it's just, they're
And I sit and look
everywhere.
out my window.
I
'cause
mean,
I did
there
that
are
yesterday. I was looking out my
Festivities going on all the
living
time,
room
which
window, and there are these two
I've never
blue
seen
jays
anything like it. It was so
on
much
my
fun.
apple tree.
See, I was one of the crazies in the street.
Yeah, well, we did that for a couple of, fortunately,
Came back
our
for
hotel
this.
was the Sheraton, which is on Canal Street,
the
and
Blue
since
Jays
the hurricane, they reconfigured the parade routes, and they all went straight in front of our hotel, so we just go out in the street and be part of the crazies,
Yeah.
but we could back up and go to our hotel.
That was so cool.
It was unbelievable, unbelievable. I mean, Dave and I haven't had a real vacation that we actually,
Didn't work,
usually we're at a conference, and so
Oh,
it's somewhere
snowing here.
nice, so we take a day or two at either end.
Yeah, I was
Or
sitting
something
down
like
here.
that. This is the first time in, well, certainly since we opened the
Really?
company, that we've had an actual vacation where we,
I mean,
Yeah.
vacated.
Well, we've had birds.
Oh,
I had the
my God,
little
it was
ones
so much fun.
bouncing around now.
The nice people.
Amazing.
This crew is
Tim is
a
good.
pretty
Get this
casual
going.
crew compared to some of them. Some of them,
we can still get home. to
we were, Rex is the major one. He's like the king of
Yes.
Mardi Gras.
Well, tonight's easy because you
Rex
just
and
sit back
Comus.
and
Nobody
laugh
ever
at 'em.
finds out who these
And then
particular
you
men
know what's going
are.
to happen when
They're
the
masked
meeting
at all
comes
times and they're public. Yeah,
Wow.
it's really
Last
weird.
year it was
The
kindergarten.
mix of, lighthearted
will be
frivolity and absolute seriousness that people take these crews. But they had their formal dance on Mardi Gras night in our hotel at the Sheraton. These were $70,000 gowns, women with and you could tell these were real jewels they were wearing, unbelievable amount of money, just astounding. Designer gowns like you see on runways and stuff that just jaw-dropping. Now, for me, mine was, I bought it at Precious Moments Bridal down there, because I
I'd be
found
at
one
the
that would
Etc.
fit.
shop. Yeah, I know what you mean.
But obviously, every one of these women had a custom-made gowns and just unbelievable.
I bet you look
opulence.
just as nice as they did.
And that's what.
I looked as good as
I'm
I
sure
ever
Dave
look.
did.
Most I can hope for is presentable, so. But I looked all right. I had my hair done. I had this big.
I'll bet you were pretty.
Well,
Zero for the budget.
I said Dave thinks so, because he adores her anyway.
and Dave looked phenomenal in his tails.
His little fuzzy curly hair.
Yeah, because it's kind of pooped out. It kind of pooped out under his
hold you hostage?
hat. So he has.
Oh, they look cool.
Oh my God, he was adorable.
Cecile gets so mad at me. She'll say, I wish he cut his hair.
No, I love his
Oh,
hair.
Cecile, I love his
If I
hair.
had my choice, Dave's hair would be bound to his waist.
No, I like his
I
hair.
know we
know.
can't do
My
that because we
husband-
work in the real world.
My husband's just like that. Oh,
See, my husband's was like that. He looked like Bob Dylan.
yeah. Eric,
Well, I have a picture when Dave is 21, 22, and he's holding his oldest nephew, who's now in his 30s. So, and his hair, this is 1970, whatever, and his hair is like,
Nope.
Getting around. I think I got
I knew.
Anyway, so
You know what he had an afro. I have pictures of that Constantino with an afro.
That's such a short name.
wow.
thank you, sir.
I used to braid my
Entirely
hair.
different
I
things.
go.
I used to braid my hair and then take it out.
See separate instructions.
That's what I was doing was, I have to also recalculate the 10%
Okay.
amount, because at town meeting, amendments can be made to the budget to increase it up to 10% based on the calculation. And basically, it's the approved budget less our debt service.
So where are the warrant articles we just approved? Am I just not?
Yep. There, Yeah, I was just showing.
There they
Yeah, here they are. So here are the ones that are approved.
25, 65, 35.
This is the snow storage down here, which is the
Oh, okay.
individual.
Not official.
And it
Not-
shows that we did not
And
recommend.
then also
Okay.
on the back page here in the summary, this is the
Okay,
amount.
so that's the difference.
20,000 individual.
Yep.
The reason, special warrant articles don't lapse.
Right.
Individuals are just like a one-shot deal.
We don't have to meet again until town meeting, huh?
Until town meeting.
My Wednesday nights are free.
How many weeks? What's that?
Oh, hang on a second.
But down till
Two
after,
copies. Any more, they're good.
before the storms forecast, the way the weather was.
Want me to show you that?
Late March. when it went in.
Anybody have a tissue?
Hour before he came here.
Can I use my shirt tail?
Is that what's wrong with that pavement?
Now can we adjourn?
Do I need to look at this?
Is everyone signed?
I looked over your shoulder.
No, I do.
Been over.
I am.
Pass it by
To
Take care of it.
sign the MS7 as written.
Do we vote to do that?
Yep. We can do
Have
that
we
right
done
now.
it?
Yeah.
Are we back in session? Do we have to do anything to come back from recess?
We're back.
I move that we sign the MS7.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None?
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
Second it.
Motion? Second? Unanimous.
Would you like me to do so?
Yes, you can present that.
Not the one at Crutcher's office.
Why is Sharon Crutch's wife doing that?
So, 2013 meetings are done, except for town meeting.
Thank you, sir. It was excellent.